Welcome to the video where I spout random nonsense about a video game for some amount of time that my future self is going to determine. You know, Halo mostly gets left in the sidelines nowadays when you think about it. But anyone from the original Xbox slash the 360 console generation is going to remember how much of an influence Halo had on video games back then. It was fucking insane, for lack of a better word. Back then, man. I feel old now. Anyway, during Halo's big heydays on the 360, a company named Ensemble Studios was set to create an RTS based on the franchise, with Microsoft Big Money Publishing handling advertising and all that. And what that resulted in back in 2009 was a console RTS that was pretty well received publicly, even if reviews back then were hit and miss. I'm looking at you, IGN. They didn't bother to think that a console RTS may be tailored to be a little bit easier, because a console RTS isn't easy to do. But this is 2019, and back in mid or late 2016, the game was re-released and given a fresh coat of paint on the Xbone and Windows 10. And surprisingly, this port even made it to Steam with support for older OSs. So we're going to have a look at that today because I feel like it, and hey, this is my show review thing. Hey, what are we actually doing? You know, first off, let's get some nice things about the game out of the way, because for a console-focused RTS, it was pretty well handled in my eyes. Even on the PC, the UI and its feel is actually quite fine, regarding what some people say about the UI being the same as it is on a console. Seriously, some people are really anal about these things. The UI, for as round as it is, literally, works fine. Unit selection and researching are all quick and easy to do, and thanks to that it leaves a lot more room to pay attention to your units, since you don't need to handle as much as that macro part of the RTS genre as usual. Next off, as a plus I'll give them, while a small one, is the unit selection. While a little hit and miss here and there, is at least trying to cover all the bases a standard RTS needs, and it helps ensure that one single strategy isn't the one that ends up being the winning formula every time. And I'm looking at StarCraft 2 and the Roach Hydra combo here. Seriously, in the single player, that combo can win nearly anything. It's stupid. As for the gameplay itself, it's okay. The campaign, while short, is a nice trek through various locations and doesn't forget a lot of things that were what Halo made it back then. You know what I mean. You got the Covenant, you got the UNSC Marines, heck, the Flood, and even the Sentinels are there. You know, the kind of characters you expected from Halo. Or the races, I guess. And heck, all of this you can play co-op. It has fully functioning co-op in the single player. But then we get to the online side, which is something I'm afraid I'm going to have to say I'm a little weak on that front. Skirmishes are okay and all, but I never really touched the online, because I don't tend to play RTSs for the EP point stuff, you know, most people do when they play RTSs. But hey, I'll give them this. It's got a fair few maps on it, like about 4 for up to 4v4. You know, 4 maps until you get to 4v4, and then it's like 3. And then there's about like 5 or 6 game modes, and for an RTS back in 2009, that's honestly pretty okay in my eyes. Sure, it could be improved, but at this point I don't think they want to. It's an old game, man. And at this point they're probably focusing on something else. Of course, nothing is perfect, and Halo Wars does have a list of issues that try and show themselves through the surface. There's not that many, and I'm not going to list all of them, but hey. The first thing I'll say is that units, in my opinion, they can be a fair bit janky to move around with, especially when you try and have them in a controlled group. Maps themselves are clearly made so smaller groups can function really well. So if you have like a big wall, or just have all your units together in like one big army, a lot of the time it just ends up being a waiting game of getting to A to B because they're trying to stick together and everybody slows down. It's annoying. And while these units themselves, the bases are covered, the variation of how strong they can get is really varied. Like, the Marines, you know, your standard infantry unit. You think, oh, they're simple enough. The first upgrade seems fair enough. The second upgrade, oh, it's an RPG, we know what those are. The amount of power the RPG gives them is absurd. It pretty much brings them to a whole new tier for like a really cheap unit. And the same can go for the Warhogs when they get their final upgrade, because Jesus, those Gauss turrets, they pretty much become universal killers if you don't, you know, let me say that again. They become universal killers in a big group, which makes me feel like the balance was a bit messy. Of course, this was after the obvious balance changes it probably got, because it did have updates after it came out, and this is a re-release, so who knows, maybe they tinkered with something. And, you know, I don't know how it fares in online, because that's not something I really play. Anyway, alongside all of those bits about the units, I feel like the campaign can be a little lackluster in some spots, and particularly one place that annoys me is with two of the missions that are played back to back in the campaign. They're called Cleansing and Repairs, and really the only difference in those missions is the type of unit you're going against. The map is the same, but the units are the only real difference, and it just feels lazy to me, or it just, I don't know, maybe these were meant to be the same mission but they were cut up for the sake of having more missions on the box. And I know this is a stupid thing to complain about, but I swear, as the series went on, the Covenant just got dumber and dumber. In one cutscene in particular, the elites have this ambush set up with their cloaking technology, but at the same time, in that same cutscene, you can definitely see elites and the like just dead. The Marines are just cleaning them up, which makes me think, why aren't those elites, you know, hiding with the others? Why did they just stay out in the open? I know it's a stupid thing to go on about and all, but it just bothers me a little, you know? It's something I want to get off my chest. In the end, after the good and the bad I've gone on about, would I still recommend Halo Wars to people? Well, first off, why would I make a video about it if I didn't want more people to play this? The game, while clearly it has some flaws on the surface, it's fun. And with co-op and a price tag that won't gouge your wallet, I can honestly say it's something to keep an eye on. The port itself is pretty well done. It's got plenty of settings and keybind settings, so hey, the PC Master Race, if you really wanted them, they're gonna be happy. So yeah, that's the video. I know it's a bit short, but honestly, the original write-up I had for this was like 3 to 4 times the original length of what we're getting here, and I was honestly getting overboard and beating myself up over it because I was trying to be a perfectionist, I guess. So I decided to shrink it down to what we have now. Anyway, if you made it this far, then thank you, honestly. And I know you likely hear this everywhere you go on the internet, but it would be lovely if you could share this along with any other videos I did. And heck, the whole like, comment, subscribe bollocks YouTube expects out of people. I want to make more videos like this because I want to do things I like to do. And I hope you folks stick around because you enjoyed this. Anyway, I'll let you get back to reality or wherever you may be, and maybe we'll see each other soon. Or not. It depends how quickly my brain makes up its mind, because I swear this brain is a black hole.